Title, Shadows of Her Silence, Episode 1 of 5, The Call Beyond Midnight. Follow and subscribe 5-episode thriller. It was just after midnight when my phone buzzed on the nightstand, vibrating once, then again. The screen lit up the darkness of my room with the glow of a single message. Can't speak, don't text or call, please just come. The name on the message made my stomach flip. Eva. My best friend since we were 12. We hadn't spoken in 3 days. Nothing dramatic had happened, just life getting in the way. College assignments, late shifts, and her new boyfriend who I hadn't met yet. But that message wasn't casual, and it wasn't random. It felt like a red siren flashing on my phone. I sprang out of bed, threw on jeans and a hoodie, didn't even bother brushing my hair. I grabbed my keys and left the apartment with the message still burning on the screen. Outside, the night air bit at my skin, cool and sharp. My heart raced in time with my hurried footsteps as I jumped into my car and sped toward Eva's house. She lived on the edge of town, in one of those older houses that had seen too many winters. Trees arched over the winding roads like twisted guardians. I tried calling her. Voicemail. I texted back. Nothing. Halfway there, the message disappeared. Not just the thread, but the entire history of our texts. My stomach turned colder than the night air. I reached her house in under 15 minutes. Her street was quiet, only the soft glow of a street lamp painting golden circles on the pavement. Her house looked the same, lights off, blinds shut, no signs of distress, no screams, no shadows. I ran up the porch and knocked. No answer. I knocked harder. A minute passed before the door creaked open. Eva stood there in a robe, hair tied up messily, her eyes sleepy and confused. "Hey," she said. "What are you doing here?" I showed her my phone, now with no evidence of the message. "You sent me this. Said not to text or call. Just come." Her brow furrowed. She shook her head slowly. "I didn't send anything. I've been asleep for hours." She looked tired, yes, but not frightened, not in distress. Still, something about her eyes, she wasn't really looking at me. Not like she normally would. I swear, I got the message just 20 minutes ago. Then it deleted itself. Eva stepped aside, letting me in. The house smelled faintly of lavender, but it couldn't mask something more metallic underneath, like rust or blood. The lights flickered as she turned them on. I looked around. Everything looked normal. Too normal. Her dog, Samson, didn't come bounding to the door. His leash still hung by the rack. "Where's Samson?" She blinked. "Oh, at the vet. He's sick." I nodded slowly, but a pit was forming in my gut. We sat for a while. I pressed her for more answers, but she only seemed more confused. Or maybe she was pretending. We watched half an episode of a sitcom, neither of us laughing. I finally left around 2:30 a.m., unsatisfied but not wanting to press harder. Maybe she was sleep texting. Maybe I was overreacting. But I couldn't shake the feeling. 6 hours later, just as dawn began to gray the sky, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Is this Mara Linwood?" a gruff voice asked. "Yes." "This is Officer Raymond Carter with the Greene County Police Department. We need to ask you some questions about Eva Hastings." "What? Why? Is she okay?" A pause. "She's missing." The world spun sideways. "Missing?" "We received a wellness call this morning from a neighbor. When we entered her home, we found signs of a struggle and a considerable amount of blood." My voice caught in my throat. "No, I saw her. Last night, she was fine." Another pause. "Are you sure?" "Yes. She opened the door. We talked. I stayed until 2:30. The officer lowered his voice. "We have surveillance from the street. No one entered or left the house after 8 p.m. I swallowed hard. Then who the hell did I talk to? Silence on the other end, the kind that made your soul fold in on itself. "We'll need you to come in," he finally said. "Right away." I sat down slowly on the edge of my bed, phone still pressed to my ear, the world unraveling around me. Eva was gone. And someone had worn her skin to greet me. The sterile white walls of the Greene County Police Department were bathed in the kind of sickly yellow light that made everything look a little dirtier than it actually was. I sat on a cold metal chair in a plain interview room that felt more like a trap than a place for conversation. Officer Carter entered, tall and broad-shouldered, with a beard peppered in gray and eyes that looked like they'd seen too many bad nights. He closed the door and placed a folder on the table. "Mara Linwood, 23, friend of Eva Hastings since middle school. You visited her home last night around 12:30 a.m., stayed until about 2:30. You say she appeared normal? Yes, I said. My voice cracked from dryness. She was quiet. A little off, maybe, but she was her. Was she alone? I hesitated. Yes, I think so. I didn't see or hear anyone else. Carter opened the folder. Inside were glossy photographs I couldn't look away from once I glimpsed them. Blood smeared down the hallway wall. A shattered vase. A dark, congealed pool on the kitchen floor. We found this scene at 6:41 this morning, after her neighbor called in a disturbance. No sign of forced entry. No body. But the blood, it's enough to suspect foul play. I felt nauseous. But I saw her. She opened the door, talked to me. We sat on the couch. We watched TV. Carter leaned forward. Surveillance says otherwise. No door opened after 8 p.m. If you left at 2:30, there should be a record of it. I was there, I insisted, but my voice was hollow. Carter stared at me like he was trying to decide if I was a liar, a lunatic, or something else entirely. I was free to go, but not before they confiscated my phone for analysis. Walking out into the parking lot, the morning sun felt like an interrogation light. I wanted to scream, to crawl out of my skin. None of it made sense. Back at my apartment, I curled up on the couch, wrapped in a blanket that couldn't touch the cold inside me. My mind replayed every detail from the night before. Eva's sleepy expression, the way she stood just inside the doorway as if reluctant to let me enter. Her vague answers. Samson being at the vet. Something was wrong. I opened my laptop and started digging. I searched Eva's name, the address, even police scanner reports from that morning. The more I searched, the deeper I fell into a pit of silence. There was no mention of a missing person named Eva Hastings. No news, no alerts, nothing. Almost as if the whole thing hadn't happened. Around 8 p.m., I received a message. You shouldn't have come. No contact name, just a message. I stared at it, fingers trembling as I typed back. Who is this? Where is Eva? No response. I showed the message to the police the next morning. Officer Carter's expression darkened. He asked if I had enemies, stalkers, old exes with grudges. My answer was the same. No. They took the number, traced it to a burner phone registered in another state. It was turned off 10 minutes after you received the message. Nothing more we can do, Carter said with a shrug that made me want to scream. I wasn't going to sit around and wait. I started calling Eva's friends. Most hadn't heard from her in over a week. Her boyfriend, Ronan, a name I barely recognized, didn't answer his phone. I tracked down his social media. Sparse. A few cryptic photos, most of them landscapes or abstract, moody shots. One photo stood out. Eva, half in shadow, her smile faint and tired. Caption, some things should stay buried. I clicked on his profile. Nothing in his bio. But one comment from a user named Selkie Song caught my eye. She knew better. She opened the wrong door. That night, I dreamt of Eva. She stood at the edge of a forest, barefoot, her nightgown soaked in something dark. She opened her mouth to speak, but only blood trickled out. Behind her, shapes moved in the trees. I woke up screaming. Determined, I returned to Eva's house. The crime scene tape had been removed. No one answered when I knocked. The house looked empty, abandoned. I circled to the back and tried the kitchen window. Unlocked. I slid inside, careful not to disturb anything. The living room was dim. The TV remote still sat on the coffee table. The lavender candle had melted to a stub. But something was different. The photos on the wall. They had changed. Instead of pictures of Eva and me, of our high school graduation, or our trip to the beach last summer, the frames now held images I didn't recognize. Landscapes, old-fashioned black and white photos of people I didn't know. In one, a girl with long black hair stood on a cliff edge, her arms outstretched, mouth open in a silent scream. Her eyes were white. I backed away from the frame, breath quickening. This wasn't just a mystery. This was something deeper, something older. As I turned to leave, I heard it, a faint creak upstairs. I froze. Eva, I whispered. No answer. Step by step, I climbed the stairs. Each footfall felt like it echoed through my bones. I reached her bedroom door, pushed it open. Empty. But the mirror across the room held a different story. In its reflection, she was standing right behind me. End of episode 1 of 5, The Call Beyond Midnight. Follow and subscribe, 5-episode thriller. Title, Shadows of Her Silence, Sayus. Episode 2 of 5, The Mirror Gate. The scream caught in my throat, lodged somewhere between disbelief and terror. I whirled around to face the room behind me. Empty. No Eva. No shadow. Nothing. But the mirror told a different story. Her reflection had been clear, shoulder-length hair, pale skin, wide eyes, just behind mine for a second that dragged out an eternity. I turned back to the glass. Nothing there now but me, pale and trembling. I staggered backward, bumping into her dresser, sending a jewelry box tumbling to the floor. It spilled open, scattering tangled chains, earrings, and a small key. My fingers hovered over it. It didn't look familiar. Engraved on the bow of the key was a symbol, a circle with 3 curved lines extending from its center. I pocketed it. I didn't want to be in the house any longer, not after the mirror, not after the sound upstairs. I climbed back out the window and drove straight home, locking the door behind me and double-checking every room. When I sat on my bed, my legs finally gave out from under me. My head throbbed, but I couldn't sleep. I researched the symbol instead. I drew it from memory and reverse image searched it, but got nothing useful. Eventually, I uploaded a photo to a folklore discussion board and asked anonymously if anyone recognized it. I got 1 reply within minutes. Not a symbol you want to follow, friend. It marks a threshold, a door. If it's in your life, it means something's already come through. Burn it, and whatever you do, don't go back into the mirror. That night, I dreamt again. I stood in Eva's bedroom. She was there again, but this time she faced me. Her mouth opened and her voice poured out, but not in words, a warbling static like a broken radio, shrieking and moaning through the sound. Behind her, the mirror rippled. I woke with a gasp, my sheets soaked with sweat. I fumbled for my phone. Another message had appeared. Come see. There was no sender ID, no contact name, just those 2 words. My clock read 3:33 a.m. I knew it was madness, but I grabbed my keys and drove. Not to Eva's house. This time I followed the only lead I had, Ronan. I remembered the name of the bookstore he worked at part-time, an old, cluttered used shop called Briar and Bone, hidden in a side alley near the university. It was open 24 hours, oddly enough. For insomniacs and occult fanatics, the owner once joked to Eva and me. The bell chimed as I entered. The place smelled of paper and dust, and the air was unnaturally still. I found Ronan in the back, stacking books near the occult studies section. He looked surprised to see me, but not shocked. You shouldn't be here, he said, his voice low. Where is she, Ronan? He shook his head slowly. You think I know? She stopped coming to work 3 days ago, said she was seeing things in mirrors. He led me to a locked drawer behind the counter and pulled out a leather-bound journal. She gave me this a week ago, told me to keep it safe, didn't explain why. He handed it to me. The cover was etched with the same symbol as the key. I opened it and scanned the pages. Eva's handwriting. Entry 1. Something's wrong with the mirror in my room. I see things, hear voices. I think it's watching me. Entry 5. The door is open. I don't remember opening it, but I keep seeing myself, only not. The reflection smiles when I don't. It speaks without sound. Entry 9. I'm losing time. Hours, sometimes. I found myself in the woods yesterday. No idea how I got there. My feet were bleeding. Mara texted me, or someone pretending to be Mara. It knew things only she would know, but the words were wrong. Stiff. I think whatever's in the mirror has learned how to use our phones. I closed the journal slowly. She was scared, I whispered. Ronan nodded. She asked me not to tell anyone. I think she knew it was already too late. Too late for what? He gave me a long look. For her, but maybe not for you. If you want to understand what's happening, there's someone you need to see. He scribbled an address on a slip of receipt paper. Her name's Dr. Aldara. She studies things like this. Dreams, reflections, ancient folklore. But be careful, she doesn't believe in coincidences. It was nearly dawn when I left the shop, and as I stepped outside, I caught my reflection in the shop window. It didn't move. I stood. It stood, but when I blinked, it smiled. Dr. Aldara lived on the edge of town in a converted greenhouse that seemed to pulse with light and life, even in the muted gray of morning. Her house was smothered in ivy, tall sunflowers leaning towards stained glass windows, and wind chimes that sang in discordant, metallic tongues. I parked on the gravel drive and hesitated. The door opened before I could knock. "You're Mara," she said. Her voice was surprisingly young, though she looked old, mid-60s maybe. Long silver hair tied back with a red ribbon. Sharp eyes behind thick glasses. She wore a long coat stitched with symbols I couldn't read. She ushered me inside. The scent of sage and old paper filled the air. Books were everywhere, spines in every language, many without titles. Crystals on shelves, mirrors covered with black cloth. One mirror, small, no bigger than a saucer, was encased in glass like it was dangerous. She poured tea and sat opposite me at a table carved with concentric rings. "You've seen it?" I nodded. "Your friend, Eva, she opened a gate. Not the first, not the last, but each time it happens, the walls thin. I felt hollow. What do you mean, gate?" Aldara tapped the table. "Mirrors are not just reflections. They are surfaces, boundaries, between here and the echoing. That's what I call it. A world beneath ours, or maybe alongside. The veil between our realities is weakest at times of emotional intensity. Death, birth, grief, fear." She handed me a book. No title, only symbols on the spine. I opened it to a page marked with red thread. A drawing of the symbol from the key burned into the page. Below it, a phrase in handwritten English. "He who crosses once is marked. He who crosses twice is claimed." "Eva crossed," I said. Aldara nodded. "But not physically. At first, it happens in dreams. Lucid fragments, bleeding through reflections. But eventually it reaches out. It wants to anchor. It uses emotion, memory, love." "Is she still alive?" A pause. "Yes, but she is within. Time moves differently there. If we don't act soon, she won't be herself when she returns. If she returns." I pulled out the key. "What does this open?" Aldara didn't touch it. "It is a tether. Each marked key can open one portal. It's bound to the one who created it. Likely a place tied to Eva's essence, her memory, her pain." That night, I slept in the greenhouse's guest room, surrounded by books and whispers in the walls. I had the mirror dreams again. Eva in the woods. A crooked tree with black leaves, a spiral staircase beneath its roots. A voice, high and feminine and inhuman, whispering, "Bring her back or stay with her. The gate takes one, returns none." I woke to the sound of humming. Aldara stood over the covered mirror. The cloth was gone. The surface shimmered, not like water, but like memory. "We found the gate," she said, "where she first saw the double. Her childhood home, burned down 10 years ago, but mirrors remember." We drove for hours. The house had been reduced to foundation and ash. Only a brick fireplace and a half-collapsed wall remained. Aldara handed me the key. "Place it in the hearth. Speak her full name." My hands shook. "Eva Morale Hastings." The key glowed, then cracked. A sudden wind rose from nowhere. Leaves danced in circles. The ash curled upward, forming a doorway. The inside was not black, the morale, but silvery. A moving image. Eva, in the woods, the crooked tree. Aldara stepped back. "I cannot go. The gate will not allow it, but you must hurry. Find her. Bring her to a tethering place. Any mirror you both once looked into together, that will anchor her." I nodded, breath frozen, and stepped through. Everything shifted. The air was syrup. The ground didn't feel like ground, more like thought. Trees pulsed with veins of light. The sky was a smear of stars, but no moon. My clothes shifted, like they had been reshaped. I wore white like Eva in my dreams. I heard humming. I followed it. For what felt like hours, I walked through landscapes from our memories, our middle school, now ruined and twisted, our beach trip, but the waves moved in reverse, my own apartment overgrown with thorns, and finally, the woods. The tree. Eva stood beneath it. She turned slowly. Her eyes were hollow, silver-rimmed. "You shouldn't have come," she said, but her voice was twofold, hers and something older. "Eva, it's me. I'm taking you home." Her lips moved, but the voice that answered came from the tree. "One may leave, one must stay." "Then take me," I said without hesitation. A pause. Eva blinked. Her eyes cleared for a second. "Mara?" I grabbed her hand. "Remember the mirror at the lake house? Summer trip. We took that dumb photo. That's where we're going. Just look at me. Hold on." The world began to scream. Light collapsed inward. The ground cracked. I pulled her forward and we ran toward the crackling silver gate that had opened again, somehow, by sheer will or memory or the force of our friendship. We fell through, and everything went black. End of episode 2 of 5, The Mirror Gate. Follow and subscribe 5-episode thriller. Title: Shadows of Her Silence. Episode 3 of 5. A light returned. A shadow kept. The pain was the first thing I noticed. Like 1,000 needles pushing against my skin. Like my body was being reshaped from a dream into flesh again. I gasped awake on the floor of Aldara's greenhouse. The key, long since cracked in the fireplace, lay beside me now. Blackened, twisted, cold. Eva lay next to me. She wasn't breathing. "Help!" I screamed, hoarse. Aldara came running, a copper bowl clattering to the floor behind her. "She's not breathing." Aldara dropped to her knees, pressed her palms over Eva's heart, and whispered in a language I didn't understand. A wind stirred the air. Eva shuddered. A long breath escaped her lips. And then her eyes opened. But they weren't quite hers. They were close. Brown as always. Familiar, but wrong. Slower to blink. Less reactive. As if she were watching through glass. She stared at the ceiling, not blinking. "Eva?" She turned her head toward me. Her face didn't register emotion. "Mara," she whispered. "I heard you." I took her hand. It was cold. "You're safe now," I said, as much for myself as for her. But as the hours passed, the truth unraveled. Eva was back, but not whole. She didn't sleep. She ate in silence. She flinched at her own reflection, and she never looked into mirrors, covering them instinctively, avoiding even glass surfaces. Aldara said, "The soul takes time to adjust. She was there longer than she thinks. Her mind has to find its shape again." But something feels off. She may not be the only one who came through. That night, I found Eva standing in the kitchen, barefoot, staring into the black screen of the microwave. Her reflection didn't match her movement. "Eva," I whispered. She turned, and for a heartbeat, her eyes were silver. But when I blinked, they were brown again. I decided to bring her back to her apartment against Aldara's initial judgment. "Familiarity may help," I insisted. Aldara gave me a bundle of salt, twine, and iron nails. "Ward her room. Keep iron near the mirrors. If anything changes, come back." I did as told. We drove home. Eva said little. She stared out the window, clutching the journal Ronan had given me like it was her tether. Inside the apartment, things felt colder, as if something in the air had spoiled. I left her to sleep. That night, I woke to whispering. Eva stood at the foot of my bed. "Eva?" But she didn't answer. She turned and walked away. I followed her into the hallway. She was gone. I found her in the living room, staring into the mirror above the fireplace. Her reflection smiled. She didn't. "Eva, come away from there." She blinked. Her smile dropped. "Mara? You were sleepwalking." "I was dreaming," she whispered. "I was still there. The voice keeps calling. It's angry you came." I took her back to bed. The next morning, she had no memory of the night before. Days passed. Each day, Eva returned more to herself. Her voice took shape. She laughed once, even smiled without it seeming forced. But the whispers didn't stop. Neither did the messages. They appeared on my phone now, without notification. "You're marked too. It knows where you dream. Mirrors are hungry." Ronan texted, "There's something in her journal I missed." We met at a cafe near campus. He looked pale. She added a page, in pencil, scratched into the paper with something sharp. He handed me the book. At the very back, in cramped, frantic writing, "If I return and I start to forget, the me that's me, ask me about the cellar. If I don't remember it, run." I read it twice, then a third time. Eva didn't have a cellar, not in her apartment, not at her childhood home. But we did, once. On a vacation with my family years ago, we stayed in an old house upstate. Eva and I snuck into the cellar to hide during a thunderstorm. She told me later she'd always remembered that place as terrifying and safe all at once. It was where she felt closest to me. I went home, sat beside Eva on the couch. I turned to her. "Do you remember the cellar?" She blinked. "What cellar?" My breath caught. I backed away slowly. She tilted her head. "Mara, what's wrong?" She smiled. Too wide, too calm. "Don't you remember? We never went to a cellar." Her voice doubled again, just for a moment. Two tones, two minds. That night, I packed our things. I didn't sleep. I waited until she did, and then I returned to Aldara. She listened, stone-faced. "She's still inside," I said. "Eva, the real one." Aldara nodded. Yes, the part of her that came back, she brought something else with her. A shadow, the echoing. And now it's learning how to be her. Can we stop it? Her expression darkened. Yes, but it won't be easy. It may not want to leave. I held up the journal. She wrote this for a reason. There's a way. Aldara rose. "There is, but you'll need to go back." Back? To the echoing. To the core, the hollow mirror. That's where it resides. Won't that make it stronger? It's already here, Mara. You're not making it stronger. You're giving Eva a chance to fight. And what if I lose? Aldara looked at me. Then she becomes it, and you stay there forever. I took a breath and nodded. The ritual required silence, silver, and blood. Aldara handed me a blade made of obsidian, cold, so cold it burned. She etched a circle of salt and iron around me in the greenhouse's dirt floor. The moon hung above, full and leering, peeking through the high glass ceiling like a watchful god. Eva slept in the back room, or what wore her face did. I had an hour, maybe less, before it noticed my absence. Are you ready? Aldara asked. No, I said honestly, but I'm going. She nodded and placed a cracked mirror in my lap. The frame was wood engraved with the same spiral symbol from Eva's key. When you cut your palm and smear the blood across the mirror, it will open. But this time, you go deeper, past the dream layer, past the memory echo. You're going to the hollow. I inhaled sharply. Once I'm there, find Eva's tether, her essence, her echo self. It will be bound, likely hidden. The hollow will try to stop you, show you versions of her, of yourself, of your worst truths. I nodded and made the cut. The blood spread like ink across the mirror's surface. It shimmered, rippled, then collapsed inward, pulling me with it. The hollow was not like the echoing. The hollow was absence, soundless, lightless, feelingless. I floated, or fell, or was suspended, memory bleeding away like ink in water. I saw my childhood room empty. I saw Eva, 13, crying in my mother's garden. I saw myself yelling at her senior year, a moment I regretted but never apologized for. And then I saw the mirror. Not a mirror. The mirror. 10 feet tall, its frame carved from bone, its surface oily and alive. It pulsed like a heart. Something stood in front of it. Eva. Or a version of her. This Eva wore all white. Her hair floated as if underwater. Her eyes were closed, her mouth stitched shut with silver thread. But the thing inside the mirror grinned. Welcome, it said in my voice. I clenched the obsidian blade. I want her back. The grin widened. You had her. You let her fall. You left her in the woods. That's a lie. Is it? Remember the night she texted. You hesitated. You doubted her. You didn't believe she needed you. That's why I reached her first. I stepped forward. She called for me. I came, and I will take her home. The mirror trembled. You can't save her if you won't see her. The stitched mouth Eva turned, and her eyes opened. Her real eyes. Fearful. Human. She couldn't speak, but she reached for me. I ran to her, but the ground twisted into stairs. The stairs became ribs. The ribs became memories. Me forgetting her birthday once. Me leaving a party early. Me holding a secret she never knew I kept. I'm sorry, I whispered. I'm so sorry. I jumped, landed in front of her, slashed the threads across her lips. She gasped. Mara, I grabbed her hand. Yes, yes, it's me. I'm still in her, she whispered. The part you took home, it's not all me. It's the reflection. The echo made flesh. You brought it back by mistake. I know, we'll fix it. We'll anchor you. I'm afraid. The mirror growled. The voice again. You are too late. She is already remembering her life as hers. You will be forgotten. She will take root. I turned to Eva. The cellar, I said. She blinked, then smiled. A real soft, trembling smile. Yes, she said, where the storm hit us, where I told you I was afraid of the dark, where you said I never had to be alone again. The mirror cracked. No, the voice roared. I gripped her hand. A new mirror formed beside us. Clean, silver, true. The tether. Hold on, I said. We jumped together. Back in Aldara's greenhouse, the mirror on the floor shattered as we fell through. The lights blew out. The shadow Eva screamed in the other room. Aldara stepped in front of the door. Go, she shouted. Anchor her to the mirror, now! Eva and I ran to the wall, to the only uncovered mirror left in the room, the one above Aldara's mantle. I grabbed her face. Look, she did. Our reflections appeared. Hers shifted. Brown eyes, silver, then brown again. The thing screamed from the hallway. The glass fogged, then cleared. Eva collapsed. I caught her. The air grew still. When she woke, she looked at me, and I saw her. Truly her. She cried, and I held her. Aldara sat with us until dawn. The creature was gone, banished, but the gate remained. Once opened, the hollow never fully closes. Eva would always be a little marked, and so would I. I'm sorry, I said again. You came for me, Eva whispered. That's all that matters. I nodded, but in the corner of the mirror for just a breath of a second, I saw it watching. Still smiling, waiting. End of episode 3 of 5. A light returned, a shadow kept. Follow and subscribe. 5-episode thriller. Title: Shadows of Her Silence. Episode 4 of 5, The Pieces That Remain. Follow and subscribe 5-episode thriller. The days that followed were a blur of whispers, recovery, and quiet terror. Eva slept for 20 hours after the hollow. When she woke, she barely spoke. Her eyes flickered to mirrors like stray dogs glancing at open gates. We stayed in Aldara's greenhouse for 3 nights. She said the soil here had memory, older than even the echoing. Safer, for now. Ronan came with supplies, burned herbs, old books, a map drawn in faded ink, marking places across the city where the veil had thinned before. They're not rare anymore, he said grimly. Whatever opened for Eva is still leaking. Others are waking up from dreams they didn't fall asleep in, saying things they shouldn't know. Some are slipping into the hollow without knowing they've left. I looked to Eva. Her face paled at the news. It's spreading, she whispered, like it wants to be seen. We returned to her apartment. She refused to stay alone, so I moved in. We slept in shifts. I took the couch. She took the bed. Each morning I checked for signs, the silver eyes, the too wide smiles, the voice beneath her voice. But nothing came back. She was Eva again, but quieter, like a candle once snuffed, now relit with a weaker flame. And then one morning I found her sketching. A girl, pale, silver hair, black eyes, standing inside a mirror. "Who is that?" I asked. "I don't know," Eva said, "but I think she helped me." Aldara believed Eva wasn't alone in the hollow. There are others who fought it, she said. Not all shadows are evil. Some were echoes of stronger souls, ones who refused to be erased. Ronan dug deeper. He found an old legend, centuries buried. A group known as the Lustrate, mirror walkers, veil seers, those who entered reflections to rescue lost spirits. Most died. A few survived. "Maybe Eva is part of that lineage," he said. "Or you are." I shook my head. "I'm no rescuer. I was just trying to save my friend." "Exactly," he said. "That's what they were too." Eva started recording dreams again. This time they were hers. She dreamed of the mirror cracking, of a girl calling to her, of a house with no doors, only windows, and each one showed a life she never lived. A painter, a dancer, a girl who ran, a girl who drowned. Sometimes the girl with silver hair stood in the background, watching, guarding. We wrote everything down. Ronan built a journal from old pages, bound it in leather, lined it with ash and salt. It became our map. Then one night, something changed. The lights flickered. The mirror in the hallway rattled. I found Eva kneeling on the floor, staring at her reflection. She wasn't possessed, just terrified. "I saw them," she said. "Others," reaching from the other side, asking for help. "Are they trapped?" "No. They're watching, studying. They don't know if we're a threat yet." Aldara came that morning. She brought a pendant made of mirror glass and obsidian. "It's time to choose," she said. "You can stay safe, or you can learn how to stop this." "What do you mean?" "Whatever controls the hollow isn't done. It's sending pieces now. Seeds, reflections of reflections. And soon, one will slip through that isn't content to pretend. It will want to rule." Eva clenched the pendant. "What are we supposed to do?" "Train," Aldara said. "Fight back." Ronan found a lead, a mirror in the old Harrow Library rumored to be one of the first gates. Hidden in the basement, locked behind time and wards. We packed our things. Salt, iron, obsidian blades. Aldara gave Eva a charm to wear, an anchor made from part of the key that brought her back. "When you see yourself again," Aldara said, "ask which one is real. That's how you know." We left that night. At the Harrow Library, everything smelled of dust and grief. We found the door. We opened it. And behind the mirror, we saw the girl Eva had drawn, silver-haired, black-eyed. But this time, she wasn't alone. A second figure stood beside her. Not a child, a man. And I recognized him. He had my face. The figure in the mirror with my face didn't move. He simply stood beside the silver-haired girl, eyes locked on mine as if he'd been waiting forever. Aldara stepped forward, her voice hushed. This is impossible." "Who is he?" I asked. "I don't know," she said. "But the hollow has many layers. Some echoes form from deep regrets, others from choices never made. That may not be a copy." I took a step closer to the glass. The reflection mimicked nothing. He didn't move when I did. He only watched, his gaze far older than my years. Eva whispered, "I think he's you, but not from this life." That night, we stayed in the old library. Ronan kept watch at the door. Eva traced symbols from the Lustrate journal. Aldara examined the mirror, whispering chants beneath her breath. I sat alone with the mirror. The man stared back. At midnight, he raised his hand. For the first time, he moved. He pressed his palm against the glass. Blood trickled from his fingertips. Symbols formed on the surface. Not scratches. Sigils. I didn't understand them, but I felt them. They burned behind my eyes. A door opened within me, and a name surfaced. Talon. The mirror pulsed. The man, Talon, nodded. He had been me, or maybe I would become him. Aldara deciphered the sigils. They're instructions, she said. He's showing us how to enter without being devoured. Why? Eva asked. Because something's coming, I said, and we'll need him to stop it. Training began the next day. Ronan taught us how to fight with obsidian. The blades hummed when near a portal. They fed off intention. Resolve made them sharper. Eva learned to sense the echoes and reflections. She could now predict small tremors in the veil, like aftershocks from a quake. I studied the sigils, wore them on my skin in charcoal and ink. When I meditated with them, I saw glimpses. Kalen's world. It had fallen. The hollow had consumed it. Bit by bit, reflection by reflection, right until even hope became a lie told by the glass. He had fought alone, failed alone, but left warnings. On the 7th night, the library shuddered. Mirrors cracked. Ronan grabbed his blade. Something's breaking through. The basement flooded with shadow. Whispering echoes. 1,000 voices overlapping, out of sync. From the largest mirror stepped a woman in black. She looked like Aldara, but her eyes were wrong. Too bright. Too hollow. Children, she purred. Still pretending to be lustrate? Eva stepped forward. Who are you? Your inheritance, the woman said. The hollow does not want you dead. It wants you used, shaped, turned. Not happening, I said, blade in hand. The woman smiled. You have no choice. The mirrors are waking, and the one you carry inside, Talon, has already chosen. He just hasn't told you yet. She vanished into a spiral of glass. After the attack, Aldara sat us down. There's a place called the Drowned Archive, she said. Old sanctuary, where the first lustrate wrote their vows. We need to go there, before the hollow does. Where is it? I asked. Beneath the city. Deep beneath, through tunnels that were buried and forgotten. Ronan spread a map. I can guide us, but once we're in, there's no signal. No exit until we finish what we start. Eva looked at me. You ready? I thought of Kalen. His blood on the mirror. His loss. His warning. No, I said, but let's go anyway. We left that night. The shadows followed, and somewhere far beneath, the Drowned Archive stirred, waiting. And in the last mirror before we descended, Kalen raised a hand again. But this time, he smiled. End of episode 4 of 5, The Pieces That Remain. Follow and subscribe, 5-episode thriller. Title, Shadows of Her Silence. Episode 5 of 5, The Drowned Archive. Follow and subscribe, 5-episode thriller. We entered the tunnels beneath the city at dusk. The air changed as soon as we stepped through the rusted gate, thick and heavy with memory. The walls sweated with age, their stones etched in unreadable glyphs that pulsed when Eva passed them. The descent was long, deeper than anything natural. Our flashlights flickered as if time itself tried to erase their glow. Are you sure this leads to the archive? I asked Ronan. It leads somewhere, he said, and the map said it was sealed with silence. We walked in silence, until silence became pressure. 2 hours down, we reached a corridor where the walls became mirrors. Cracked, twisted, yet somehow clearer than any glass above. Each showed us, not as we were, but as we feared we could become. Eva saw herself alone, hollow-eyed, standing over my corpse. I saw myself as Kalen, kneeling in broken armor, blood on my hands, surrounded by ash. Ronan saw himself burning and smiling. Aldara didn't look. These are shards, she said, fragments of fallen paths. The archive lies beyond them. Do not touch them. We didn't, but they watched us anyway. The archive's door was a circle of obsidian and silver, inscribed with the same sigils Kalen had bled onto the mirror. Eva reached out. Her pendant pulsed. The door hissed and unsealed. Inside was not a room, but a world. Rows of floating mirrors, books that breathed, statues of people in agony, frozen mid-scream, mid-prayer. This isn't a library, I whispered. It's a tomb. Aldara nodded. The lustrate didn't just record knowledge. They stored it in pieces of themselves, their memories, their pain. Eva touched a mirror. It rippled, and we were pulled in. Inside the mirror, we stood in a battlefield of reflections. Echoes of the past played around us. Wars against the Hollow, desperate rituals, failed rescues. Then we saw Salen, younger, full of fire, leading others like us, falling, failing, losing one by one. We followed the memory to its end, Salen alone, standing before a mirror with runes carved in his flesh. He looked up, straight at me. "You made it further than I did," he said, "but you'll still fall, unless you break the pact." "What pact?" I asked. "The one that binds your soul to mine, the one that lets me live again through you." We were thrown from the mirror. Eva screamed. Ronan collapsed. The archive shook. Whispers flooded from every book. The statues wept blood, and something rose from the deepest shadows. A shape, shifting, wearing faces, all of ours, the Hollow itself. It didn't attack, it spoke. "You seek to remember, we seek to forget. Let us help you. Let us erase what binds you." Aldara stepped forward. "You can't erase what remembers itself." She held up her blade. The Hollow recoiled. Then Eva moved. She pressed her pendant into one of the archive's core mirrors. Light erupted, and the truth poured out. Eva's voice echoed. "I was born from this place, not just into the Hollow, but because of it. My mother was lustrate. My father was lost to the echoing. I am the tether between realms." The Hollow screamed. Mirrors cracked, but Eva stood tall. "I remember who I am, and I choose not to be erased." She shattered the mirror, and the Hollow split, not destroyed, but divided, scattered, for now. The archive quieted. We gathered what remained, a map to the final gate, the true gate, the place where it all began, and where it had to end, Salen's final resting place. The path to the final gate wasn't on any map. It revealed itself only to those who bore the mark of memory. Each of us did now, Eva by birth, Aldara by lineage, Ronan by choice, and me by something deeper, a tether that stretched across time and identity. Salen's memory lived in my bones. As we approached the final chamber, a cavern of spiraled obsidian and floating shards, we understood one truth. There was no going back. We would either close the Hollow forever, or become its last reflections. The gate itself was not a structure. It was a mirror. Endless. It shimmered in space but held no wall. When you looked into it, you didn't see yourself. You saw the you who was never born, never chosen, never scarred. Aldara stepped forward. "This is the gate of origins, the place where the Hollow was born, when the first lustrate tried to trap memory itself." Eva nodded. "This is where my mother came to sacrifice herself, and where my father was lost." Ronan gripped his blade. "And this is where we make our final stand." The Hollow arrived without sound. It didn't rise. It uncoiled, like memory itself, slipping between the cracks of reason. It wore 1,000 faces. Some were ours. Most were Salen's. "You've come to end me," it said, "but I am not the enemy. I am what keeps you from breaking. I am forgetting. I am mercy." "No," I replied. "Your escape, and we choose to remember." The ground split. Battle erupted. Ronan led the charge, blade cutting through figments and shadow flesh. Aldara summoned fire from glyphs, incinerating false memories that clawed at our minds. Eva and I reached the gate. It pulsed. The Hollow screamed. The mirror required a choice, one to open it, one to become it. Eva turned to me. "I was born of this place. I was meant to be its key, but I don't have to be its prison." "No," I said. "We go together." "I've seen what happens if we both stay," she whispered. "The Hollow wins. It needs both of us, Kalen's tether and mine. But if I go in and you close it, I lose you. You save everyone else." I held her hand. She leaned in, forehead to mine. "No goodbye," she said. "Just remember." Then she stepped into the mirror. Light erupted. The Hollow wailed. The gate pulsed. And I carved the sigil, the final one, into the stone. Everything shattered. The cavern, the shadows, the memories, and then silence. Real silence. Not pressure, not forgetting, just stillness. We emerged into dawn. Above ground, the world was lighter. The mirrors in the city reflected only what they should. No echoes. No false faces. Eva was gone. But in every reflection, I saw her smile. Not trapped, not broken, remembered. A year later, I returned to the cabin where this began. The same mirror stood in the hallway. I looked into it and saw myself. Not Salen. Not a monster. Just me. But behind me, just faintly, stood Eva. She winked. The glass rippled, and I knew she was still fighting, still guarding, still with me, always. End of episode 5 of 5. The Drowned Archive. Follow and subscribe 5-episode thriller for more such audio drama.